Hello, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
I'm sure you've answered this at another time, but
Doesn't matter. Every time is the first time.
Thank you. I've worked with traumatized communities
Oh, how exciting.
and those who've survived atrocities.
Yes.
How can I reconcile the belief that we co-create our reality with the fact that atrocities happen to groups of people, the indigenous, the Holocaust?
All right.
I have a hard time believing that all these people created their atrocities. If you were teaching these principles to people in a refugee camp, people who survived atrocities, who witnessed their family members shot by ISIS, for example, what more would you say to them? How would you explain to them what happened? Or at least, what would you say to me, someone who has worked with survivors and wants to bring these teachings to them in a way that they could hear?
All right. Well, there are many approaches to this, and of course, the approaches may be different for different people. Yes?
Yes.
We can't necessarily give you a panacea for everyone.
I understand.
But the idea in general would be perhaps to begin with the understanding that what we're saying is not that someone necessarily wants those specific things to happen, but those things happening are the result of holding on to negative belief systems in general that then cause that to be the most probable result of those fear-based belief systems. That's a very generalized concept. But the idea also can be approached on a more individual level, and I understand that many people on your planet may have a challenge with this at first, that's all right, but by asking the question, what have you learned that you otherwise might not have learned had this not happened this way? And after that discussion, can you use your imagination to imagine some other way you might have learned this rather than that way? Because all these things are about learning lessons, and some of them are about learning the lessons of how not to learn the lesson that way anymore. The idea sometimes is that souls will choose to be born into what you call hardships and experience atrocities, because many of them figure that through the idea of numbers, ultimately, if enough people on your planet go through that, will it make you stop? Will you finally get sick and tired enough of doing that way and change what you need to change so that those things don't happen that way again? How much more will you put up with? How much more will you allow to continue that you know will probably result in those kinds of experiences? When will you open your eyes? Is this making some sense?
Yeah.
Is this helping?
Somewhat.
All right. I know this is a process, and again, I understand that there may be some challenges and some complexity to this and a process that you may have to go through. But it can begin for many people with what we have just said. Getting them to examine their own fear-based beliefs about their sense of worthiness or lack thereof can be a beginning. And again, please understand, it doesn't excuse a perpetrator for someone to realize that they need to take responsibility for their part in co-creating an experience that they may not prefer. That's not an excuse of the perpetration.
Yes.
Because it's up to the perpetrator to be strong enough to refuse the call from someone who considers themselves to be a victim. Because it takes a victim to make a victim. Do you understand? The chain must be broken by someone willing to finally take responsibility for their part in the co-creation before their eyes can be open enough to realize that the perpetrator is also a victim.
Yeah.
Yes? And when you understand that, you'll be able to break the cycle.
I understand it in myself. I've had a hard time teaching it to people who are themselves
I understand again that it
victims.
may be a challenge for many people because of the belief systems they have ensconced within themselves. Because for many people on your planet, they have been taught that it's much easier to simply continue to play the victim card. But that's actually a belief in lack of self-empowerment. That's where it starts. A feeling of disconnection from source. It's important to teach people they are as powerful as they need to be to create whatever they need in life without having to hurt themselves or anyone else in order to attract or create it. It's about letting people understand how things work, and that even when they feel out of control, the true paradox is they actually have to be in control to create an experience of being out of control, because they're controlling that. And when their minds are open to the power of paradox, and they see that they can never actually be out of control, but that they can use their control to create an experience of being out of control, and they see the difference between those two states, they will begin to wake up and take some more responsibility for what they create in their lives, or what they are afraid they will create in their lives, which is tantamount to the same thing as wishing it to be so. Because people who believe they are victims truly believe that in their heart of hearts and truly find themselves unworthy will go out of their way to prove it over and over again by attracting perpetrators who are too weak to refuse them, to drive the point home that you should feel sorry for them because, see, I was right, I'm a victim. Is this helping to dissect this a little bit further?
Yeah, I mean, part of the challenge for me is having worked around human rights, people working in the human rights field, who then have accused me of being blaming the victims when I try to empower. And
all right.
So there's this.
That's your challenge to find ways of describing what we're describing to you in this way. But that doesn't guarantee they will understand you, because again, sometimes those people shout the loudest who also believe themselves to be victims.
Yeah,
but you may never get them to understand that, and that's all right.
That's okay.
All you can do is do what you do. You share, you give people options. That's how you help. What they do with the information you share is none of your business.
That's right.
Because it's their path, and you have no idea what they may need to experience on their path. But I can guarantee, and you can guarantee, one thing. Whether they learn that in this life or not doesn't matter, because everyone is an eternal and infinite, indestructible being. And if they don't get it now, they'll get it somewhere. And it's not necessarily your job to say where, how, or when. Just give them the option and let them deal with it when they believe the timing is correct. And it may not be in this life. But as long as you've given it to them, at least it's in their toolkit. And maybe somewhere down the line in this life or some other level, they will sweep away the dust and see the beautiful gem that you have left for them, finally recognizing the gift that you gave them.
Thank you. Thank you. That's very helpful.
All right.
Another question I have is, there are those traditions, and I'm sure you've again answered this before, traditions that teach us that it's important to become free of desires. And
Well,
so
again, terminology may be confusing.
Okay.
The idea of desires, of course, like any word in your language, can mean positive and negative things. So again, if there is the negative use of that idea, then yes, of course, it's important to be free of that to some degree. But the positive use of the idea is tantamount to what we're calling passion in life. Yes. So you just have to understand how you're using the energy, not get quite so caught up in the terminologies that can go either way. Because different people may mean different things with different words.
Exactly, yes.
So understand the intent of it, the energy of it, and then you will understand what you're talking about.
So the negative energy of desires, is that the insistence on something? Is that what they're really talking about?
Yes, because you think you know better when you don't.
Okay.
And therefore you create this relatively negative attachment to things having to be a certain way in order for things to go the way you want them to go, as opposed to simply knowing that if you get what you need, you will be fulfilled. Because needs will fulfill you. Sometimes your wants may coincide with what you need, but very often on your planet, because of fear-based belief systems, the wants come from the idea of the fear-based ego. And what you want often will not necessarily align with what you actually need to fulfill you in life. So it's very good to understand the difference between wants and needs. Everything you need will fulfill you. Everything you want won't always.
Yes.
Make sense?
Absolutely.
So let synchronicity show you what you need, and you will be fulfilled.
Okay.
Does that help?
That helps.
Thank you.
I have one more question.
Do you now?
I wanted to talk about the heart and the mind. So some teachings devalue the mind, tell us that it's in the way of making spiritual progress. Is that the physical mind, the way you define it?
The physical mind is the physical personality, yes. It's the belief systems that make up the idea of, again, the emotions, the thoughts, the behaviors, yes.
And so how is the heart connected to the higher mind? Or
the higher mind sends a vibrational energy that the heart feels more purely because it's not yet filtered through the belief systems. But then it bounces, shall we say, it reflects off the heart to the physical mind through the belief systems. And the degree to which the belief systems filter it so that it's not necessarily in alignment with the reflection from the heart shows the difference in how many negative belief systems may be being held onto by the physical mind. Yes?
Yes. And how is love and compassion? How's that connect? Is that are those heart?
Well, again, the heart does have a type of thinking. And compassion is a recognition that those that are going through their own particular journeys have the power to do so, that you have to see them as strong enough to get through that journey, to face the challenges that they've created and attracted in their lives. That is having compassion. And the idea is that you know, heart to heart, that they are indestructible beings, and you can root for them in that sense, without necessarily agreeing with them in terms of what it is they believe to be true. That's compassion. You believe in them even when they don't believe in themselves. That's compassion. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And that is unconditional love.
Yes.
Which is the vibration of existence itself.
And that feels like the higher mind.
The higher mind uses that vibration, uses that energy, definitely flows unconditional support and love to you. It's a kind of a conduit for that in terms that can be understood in physical reality, which is why it translates as passion in you.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much.
You are so welcome.
Hello, Tadeo.
Hello, Nania.
No, somebody just asked me a question here, so I think it's time for me to ask you stream questions.
All right.
So, the first question has to do with a person's dreaming. In fact, there's a lot of questions about dreams, so I'll share some of those with you. I often go into a dream space that feels like a lower astral gray ghetto, like environment.
Like I said, there is a lower astral realm that's very close to physical reality that can have a little bit of that feeling to it, which is why a lot of the idea of beings that are acting as quote-unquote ghosts or hauntings occupy that level. It is somewhat colorless, yes, because it's kind of a limbo state where they sometimes don't even know that they're dead, don't know what to do, don't know where to go, maybe caught up in certain belief systems that are negative, maybe working certain things out on that state. So yes, it does have kind of a gray pallor to it from time to time.
And he says that he has a feeling of a mission to get to a specific place to deliver something or find someone.
Yes.
And then he wakes up feeling quite heavy from these dreams.
Yes.
How is this different than the lower astral creation space you mentioned earlier?
Well, as I said, it's not different. But the idea is that you may be searching for a friend who may be a little bit lost in that particular realm, attempting to help them. But because you're taking on some of that vibration and it's so close to the physical reality, when you reconnect with physical reality, it can be like sort of bringing back extra energy that converts into mass, sort of, more densely, and that's why you feel heavy for a while, until you let it go back to the lower astral.
Thank you.
Yes.
And then this one is, when you're in deep meditation, can you experience dream world, or is it kind of the same thing as...
You can have glimpses of it, yes.
Is it the same thing as lucid dreaming?
It can be, but not always.
Like, what's the difference between astral projection and lucid dreaming?
Well, astral projection can be the result of lucid dreaming, which is simply another way of saying you understand that you're creating the dream, you're awake in the dream, and therefore can do what you wish. You can control what's going on. You can realize that you might be, classically speaking, out of your body, and therefore begin an astral journey. So lucid dreaming can be a step towards allowing you to have an experience of astral projection.
And do people visit other lifetimes in their dreams?
Oh, absolutely. But again, remember, all lives exist simultaneously. But yes, you can do that. You can have that experience. Absolutely.
What about if someone's dreaming about tsunamis?
What about it?
Does that mean it's a prediction of the future?
Not necessarily. Remember, there's no such thing. There's only a sensing of the energy that exists at the moment the prediction is made, but they may be sensing a reality with a high degree of probability behind it, or they may be sensing a reality that is representative of a fear they may have from the physical level, and by sensing that and seeing what the probability is, then it's possible they may also engineer to change that particular outcome. So it just depends on what they do with that information.
And isn't water also sort of a symbol of emotionality?
It can be. So again, you have to take this on a person-by-person basis. You can't overgeneralize.
So the key is to pay attention to what's relevant for you as a person.
Yes.
Like maybe it is the idea of being overwhelmed by emotionality.
It could be.
Or it could be a prediction of the future. It doesn't exist.
It could be. You have to make that determination based on what it is you learn about yourself from that dream experience and how honest you are about digging into what you believe to be true about yourself.
So sometimes it's a good idea to, when you wake up in the morning, to just stay with the dream.
Absolutely. Give yourself that moment. Give yourself a few moments. Let it come back. Explore it. Find out what it means to you. Find out how it makes you feel about yourself. Find out that you might learn something about yourself by having had that experience. Yes.
The heaviness that I think other people also have said that they feel like sometimes you can wake up in the morning and you feel so heavy, like you.
And sometimes that's the difference between the idea of physical reality and the idea of being non-physical. Physical reality can feel heavy by comparison to being in the astral form because it is a denser vibration. So the heaviness can come from that too.
So is it easier to learn in the dream world?
Depends.
Because one person was saying they would really like to be able to levitate things, and that they've been pretty successful at it in the dream world.
All right. Well, again, remember, the key to levitation in physical reality is to begin with lightening up.
I think that message was received.
There is, in many forms of art on your planet, since it comes through the imagination from the higher mind, much information that answers a lot of these questions. And as we have said previously, and especially with regard to that particular question, you have a particular film on your planet that you know as the Matrix. And in the Matrix, there is one particular line that answers that question definitively. It goes, even though the question is about levitation, to also the idea of making material objects seem to be manipulated by your mind. Spoon bending. And in that movie, the answer is clear. The only way you can do it is to understand there is no spoon. That it's just a projection of your consciousness. So the idea of an object being located on the ground, and then the idea of that object being located above the ground, is just a matter of understanding there is no object. And therefore the idea of whether it's here, or there, or here, or there, or disappears from there and reappears there, or floats above the ground, is all about understanding that you are creating the concept of physical space and time. And that it's all about resonance, and that there's a different resonance here than there is here. So when you begin to understand that you're just changing the frequency of something to exist in a different frame of reference within a projection of consciousness that you're creating anyway, that isn't real unto itself, then levitation will be something that's normal and natural. Because you're just redefining its location in space and time.
Is your ability to be able to, say, jump from reality to reality in such a drastic way that would be dependent on relevance in terms of the theme you're exploring?
Of course, it's always dependent upon whether that experience is relevant for you.
So that's why we're not all just popping in and out.
Well, you are popping in and out, but that's why not all of you have to realize it to the same degree.
Right.
Because yes, it has to do with relevance. Some things like that may sound exciting, but they simply may not be relevant for your life theme, at least not at this point. If they are relevant, and you are being yourself as best as you can be, then nothing will stop you from having the experience, because things will naturally unfold in that direction. They will take you there. Remember, your current knows where you need to go. So if you just live your life and follow your passion to the best you can, following the formula, then if the idea of levitating something is relevant for you, nothing will stop it from happening. The only thing that stops appointments you've made and agreements you've made is spending your time and energy worrying that the appointments and the agreements won't happen. So don't do that.
So when a person has a desire to do something that's well outside of what most human beings will do in this reality.
Again, it goes back to the idea of why does your passion come in that form? Never assume that the idea of the form it comes in has to come to fruition to give you the lesson you need. If it is going to come in that form, it will come. But never insist that it must. Otherwise, you're missing the point of why it came to you, because it may have come to you in that form for a completely different reason. Going back full circle, even to the idea that suddenly being excited about levitating or levitating something may simply be synchronicity's way of actually telling you to lighten up. And it may be no more mysterious than that.
So it really is. It's so much about reading the messages that are sent to you by yourself and being able to respond to them in a way that shows you comprehend what's being given to you.
And one of the easiest ways to do that is to let go of the idea that you know what it is the outcome should be. Let go of the ego's wants and open your arms to what you need. What you need will always come and will always fulfill you if you let it. It will always fulfill you. Always. So, does that help?
Yes. And then a person they've been talking about having dreams with you.
Yes.
So
sometimes it will be their own higher mind taking on the form of us because they're familiar with us, and it makes it easier for them to have a conversation thinking that it's us. We are always happy to be used as a simulacrum. This is one of the reasons why we have these conversations, so that you get familiar with our vibration and can use this as a permission slip, so that it's more easy for you in your belief system to talk to your higher mind thinking that you're talking to us. We're sneaky that way.
This person said, after a dream of shaking Bashar's hand last year,
yes,
I had a dream and saw rainbow DNA across the sky in my backyard next to a metallic round spaceship.
How
what
exciting.
Does this mean?
It means you saw an energy field that was generated by a portal that you had the senses to perceive, and that you also saw a ship that was there all the time but was heretofore invisible to your senses until you upgraded them. And that the DNA symbol shows your connection to the beings on the ship.
Here's another one where someone had a dream where I was attending your upcoming event about 2020, and you came up to my seat and told me it was very important that I have an energetic release in 2020. Was that really you?
In that particular case, it was a part of us. Not all of us, but a part of us.
If we avoid dealing with trauma that happens in childhood, does that hold us back from having contact or more contact? Or the kind of contact that it ends up leading to?
It could, because what you're simply saying is you're avoiding looking at the idea of fear-based belief systems that you have bought into. So it could.
Okay. And then finally, many of us here are also artists and would love to see your sculptures on Essassani. Could you plan with some mass exposition to see your artworks, taking us, we the bald and curious ones, on a mass ride to your planet in the dream state?
Yes, that can be done, and from time to time actually has already been done with some individuals. At the same time, it can be that at some point in the years to come, representations of some of the sculptures can be, at least in some form, recreated on your planet so that you at least have an idea of what it is we're creating on ours.
That sounds wonderful.
Yes. Anything else? Because it's about time for your break and your holotope experience.
Okay.
So, at this time, enjoy a short break. We will resume this transmission to crystallize in the idea of your ability to more consciously visit the dream world with your holotope experience as the transmission continues. I'll say we'll continue this transmission by asking each and every one of you to become very relaxed in your chairs. Start breathing gently, deeply, easily. Let go of the cares of the day. Let them melt away. You are here and you are now, and there is nowhere else to be. And as you continue to allow yourself to relax, and continue to breathe in and out, allow your lights to begin to play and your music to rise. And observe the holotope before you as a doorway, as a portal to enter the dream world. Tonight of your time, as you may choose to drift off to sleep when you are at home, remember this image of the holotope, the concentric rings and the connecting lines, the web connecting physical to astral realities, a door spiraling open, a portal, an opening in the very thin veil between the physical and non-physical dreams, all taking place within your consciousness. Use this image. See it suspended before you in the air before you go to sleep this night, and allow it to function as a door, as a gate. See the play of lights upon it. Let them infuse themselves into the neural net of your brain so that you may rewire yourself to be more receptive of the higher frequency information and energy that can be given to you from the astral realms of spirit. Hear the vibrational resonance of the music to take home with you this night that is reminiscent of a journey through space and time, and seeing through the veil, seeing through the illusion of solidity of physical reality, and see it for what it is, but a projection, an apparition. Your consciousness, as it opens up and allows the portal to truly become a gate, a door, a window between two worlds, so that they may be blended into one experience for you, so that you may cross effortlessly from one to another as you drift off and let the physical mind relax this night and take on the mantle of your spirit, of your higher mind, and your astral body, to go and to play, to greet and to meet, to create with others of like mind, of like vibration, pastures, villages, towns, cities, planets, whatever you wish in that dream world to create. Whatever is representative to you of the image that you will retain upon awakening in the morning, that will allow you to use that image as a symbol that will be with you all day, to carry with you the experience of the adventure, of the journey that you had in the astral realm, in the dream world. For it is its own world, it is its own place, it is its own level, its own resonance, its own frequency, its own domain, its own realm of experience and being, in which many things can happen, in which imagination is the key, in which thought is instantaneously manifest. Take that symbol with you, no matter what it is you create. Know that it will be there upon awakening. As you lie there and recall it, let it come back. Do not be in a hurry to rise. Just breathe in your beds. Just relax and let it come. And that symbol will be there for you all day. And if you wish to change that the next night, you may. For the adventures will evolve and the journey will expand in the dream world. And the more adventures you partake of, and the more of those beings you interact with in that realm, the more the experiences will begin to blend and leak into the physical dream. And the more you will begin to feel less difference between the two worlds, so that your physical life can become more of a dream that you can live, and the dream world will become more of a reality to you. And with every breath, you will absorb the atmosphere of both realms, both domains, both worlds. You will be breathing here and breathing there, but an ethereal breath, without the physical lungs, an ethereal intake of energy, an ethereal intake of realization and information, of knowledge and experience. And as you breathe in the physical world, you will know that with every breath in, it will tap into and touch into those experiences in the dream world. And as you exhale, you will exhale more of that etheric atmosphere into the physical dream, so that it becomes more flexible in space and time, so that you may be free. Free to know that it is your reality. Free to know that it is up to you, up to your beliefs, up to your dreams, and that by taking action upon them, you give to the world the opportunity and the option to see through you a living example of the blending of the physical and astral realities, of the template level by which you can begin to design the reality you prefer, but knowing that as you do so, and as you experience the idea of the world around you, the dream around you, to be changing, you know that it is not the world you were on that changed, for it never is. For that world remains inviolate. But it is that you, in changing yourself, in raising your frequency, in living as the dream, and bringing the dream world with you, that you shift to another already existing version of Earth that is already more representative and more reflective of the change you have made within yourself. For again, you never change the world you're on. You take yourself to a new version of Earth that is more representative of the dream you are willing to live. For action is the key. And bit by bit, the change within you will be reflected in the dream around you. For that dream is within. And the surrounding reality is not but a reflection in a mirror, a projection within your consciousness, a reflection of self-awareness, a dream within a dream within a dream, a dream with all that is, in all that is, of all that is, by all that is. For you are all that is, dreaming itself into being through all of you, through the dreams that you are to it. But the dreams by it and to it are just as real and conscious as it, as all that is. For you are the stuff of dreams, and you are the dream that is aware of itself and so lucid in its own understanding of its awareness. See the gateway, see the portal this night in the air before you, and let it open to a world that expands your understanding of the dream that you are dreaming and living right now. For you are the dream and are in the dream and are of the dream, and are being dreamed by the dream into being. Let the journey begin within you, and you shall see the path unfold before you, and the doorways opening one after another to all the different levels, all the different realms that are willing to communicate with you and send you the information of light, love, and peace, so that you may experience that peace, light, and love within your very soul, within your being, within your heart, within your mind, within your spirit, within your essence, and in every facet of your existence that is never beginning and never ending. It just is. The dream just is. It never began and it never ends. It is always now. Open that portal, open that doorway, open that gate, and expand your awareness of the dream that you are. Breathe in deeply now and let it out. And make this your own dream. Breathe in now deeply and let it out. And allow this to be your dream. Breathe in deeply and hold it, and hold it, and hold it, and feel the infinite potential and possibilities within the breath you now release as you bring through the etheric atmosphere of the astral realm in its own vibration as it relates to the physical dream, so that both may be blending more and more, so that you may walk in that dream with eyes wide open, awake to your true nature, so that you may be more and more of who you truly are as the dream of all that is. Allow yourself to float freely now in the dream state, and this night of your time, and every night that you so desire, open that portal more and more, journey more and more between the worlds, and allow them to blend in ways that are relevant for you. Allow the magic to occur. Allow time and space to dissolve. Allow, allow, allow. Float freely now as your music dims and your lights pale. Float freely in the depth of existence, nurtured by eternity and unconditionally loved by all that is. The dream within the dream within the dream. Rest and relax and breathe easily. And know that this night of your time will begin a new journey between different dreams, charting a you prefer based on seeing what you don't prefer. So just because you can see something happening doesn't mean it affects you unless you choose to be affected by it.
Okay, I understand that. I have a question about kind of switching gears here about meditation.
Permission slip, yes.
And using frequencies, which are actually like binaural beats, sometimes people call them, specific frequencies. Is there a specific frequency that helps people get into, that you would suggest that people seek out when meditating or trying to align?
Well, again, different things will work for different people in different ways, of course. But in general, one that is sort of, let's say, representative of the collective consciousness is what is often referred to in your language as the Schumann frequency of Earth, 7.85 cycles per second. Now, the Schumann frequency can change, and it often does, and can go up as high as 30 cycles per second or more, depending upon the overall collective emotional energy of your societies on Earth. But the base frequency of about 7.85 cycles per second can be effective as an archetypal frequency that reflects the collective consciousness connection to Earth and its expression as nature. So you can begin there and experiment with it if you wish, but let your imagination be your guide as to what it leads you to, because again, remember, the permission slips you are attracted to because at that moment they will work for you, even if they don't work for someone else. That's why you're attracted to use them.
Okay.
Does that help?
That does help.
All right.
And let's see. I don't know if I have the. I'll ask you one last question.
Oh, all right.
If you don't mind. Are there any within those that very clearly know? I find it interesting in our society now that we have our own military that is releasing information and videos of supposed extraterrestrial craft.
Yes, the very beginnings of disclosure.
Right. With as far as like presidents and world leaders, are there those that are kind of left out of that knowledge base within the, let's say, military industrial complex?
The individuals who would leave presidents and higher officials out of that particular knowledge base, as you say, out of the loop, I suppose your people say, are not really part of that complex. They're a completely separate body at this point in your history.
Interesting. Can you
so many of your highest officials know nothing about, except maybe on a very cursory level, what some of the individuals know who are actually the ones monitoring these things.
And is there a reason for that? Is there a reason? Have they separated themselves from those leaders over time? I assume they have. Is it for military power, or is it because they don't?
Well, they have a multitude of their own reasons, so to speak. Some of them being the acquisition of power, some of it being the prevention of power in other people's hands, some of it being fear-based in terms of what it might do to the society to know these things, some of it religious-based, based on their assumption of what extraterrestrials may be. But for the most part, most of the withholding is, to some degree, based on some form of fear-based belief system.
Okay, very interesting. Well, I appreciate getting to speak with you today.
And you as well.
I hope you are well, and I'll speak to you hopefully sometime down the line. Take care of yourself.
We thank you and our unconditional love to you.
Much love to you as well.
Hello, Bashar. Thank you for the co-creation. This is Ishan from Australia. I have a question regarding to our memories. So my question is, why do we have memories and what does that serve to us? And I know the time is always now, but is that a side effect of having our so-called space and time in our dimension? Thank you. Bye.
Yes, it is. Because memories are created in the present, no matter what they represent about the so-called past, because the past is an illusion. Nevertheless, from a linear perspective, it gives you the opportunity to learn from something that you consider to be the past. It allows you to grow in a linear way. So you have created the concept of memory to create continuity for yourselves in the illusion of time and space, so that you can see a progression of change which allows you to discover something about yourself that is new.
Hello.
And to you, good day.
Thank you for having me, Bashar.
It is our passion and our pleasure.
Okay, so I feel like the final splits for 2020 are one where Trump wins and one where the other part wins.
There are always alternate realities with things that happen that don't happen in yours. Always.
Okay.
And there are different versions of all of them in different realities. It's not just two. There are many, many realities with different versions of both of those scenarios and other scenarios that have nothing to do with what you experienced, of course.
I want to know what are the chances that I will shift to the reality where Trump actually wins. What would improve my chances to shift to that reality? Because right now I would like to quit my job in another city, although I have another stable income at this time.
Your communication is breaking up, which is an indication that your vibration is breaking up and is not consistent within yourself. Remember that you can shift wherever you wish to, as long as you are in a vibrational state that promotes the shift. Whether that be a negative state or a positive state is up to you. But the idea is you will shift according to whatever vibration you create within yourself based on your belief systems, and whether or not those belief systems are fear-based or joy-based.
Okay, is my communication okay now?
At the moment, it is.
Okay, so before the age of 7, I was hybridized by the grace, and that involved some work at the root chakra.
Yes, yes.
What is happening is that in any apartment building, I cannot properly rest at night because there is a location where multiple people are living in the apartments around me. So
why don't you move?
Well,
so why don't you move?
I move. If I move, I need to move somewhere in nature, basically.
So why don't you? What's stopping you?
Well, I need to have some comfort. I mean, it would be expensive.
What makes you think you won't?
I mean, I actually bought a car and to make it as a camper van.
You are breaking up again. It's important for you to understand that this is not just a technological glitch. It's a reflection of your own energy.
I know.
You're not coherent within yourself because you are creating too many details that you think you have to work to put together instead of allowing the flow of your life to lead you and guide you in an automatic way. You are imposing too many limiting belief systems on yourself about what you think you need in order to experience what it is that you prefer in life. You don't need that many beliefs about it. You don't need to do as much as you think you need to do. You need to allow yourself to know that if there is something impeding your ability to be where it is you prefer to be, that it's only your belief system that is impeding it. Your definition of what you think you need is too narrow, and you need to broaden it.
Okay then.
So, what is it you think you need at this moment in your belief system in order to go and move somewhere where you prefer in a way that is comfortable for you? What do you think at this point is lacking that prevents you from being able to do that?
The financial means to have the...
Aha! So you're only focused on the idea that the only way you can achieve this is through the concept you call money?
Well, I will need to have the equipment to provide heat and warm.
And what makes you think there aren't other ways to get that?
Well, I would be alone in nature, basically.
So what?
So
what makes you think there aren't other ways for you to get that?
Well, that's the issue, basically, because actually it's a paradox. I feel like being...
All right, we understand. But here's what perhaps will help you understand what we are saying. There are many forms of support, many forms of abundance. Money on your planet may be one symbol, but it's only one symbol. Being given a gift is a symbol of abundance. Having something to trade with someone is a symbol of abundance to get what you need. Synchronicity is a symbol of abundance. Imagination is a symbol of abundance. Communication is a symbol of abundance, because all these things can allow you to experience a flow of receiving the support you need when you need it, in perfect timing, in the form in which you need it, to be able to continue to act on your highest passion. You have to make room for all the forms of abundance to be equally capable of coming into your life. But if you focus only on one as being the only one that's more important, the only one that can get you where you need to be, you're actually closing the doors through all the other ways in which abundance can come to you in these different forms. In many cases, in many circumstances, in many situations, sometimes different forms of abundance have to work together in order to give you the 100% abundance that you need to move forward. So sometimes it might be that a small amount of money will come into your life, but if no more comes in that allows you to do what you need to do, that would be your first clue that some other form of abundance may need to come in to join it. And maybe another form of abundance will come in and join that, and then all together, those different forms, those different expressions of abundance and support will then give you what you need. So maybe in some circumstances, it will be a little bit of money, a little bit of somebody giving you something you need, a little bit of being able to trade with somebody for something that you need, or your imagination will open up and go, oh, there's a different way I can do this. And so by doing it a different way, I may not need what I think I need right now, or I'll get it along another path that I haven't imagined before. You have to be open to all these forms of abundance to truly be supported in your passion in life. And then you will see that as it flows, it will flow you exactly in the correct direction, and you'll wind up exactly where you need to be, when you need to be there. That supports you in the best possible way to allow you to continue to act on your excitement. But you can't have any insistence that it must look a certain way, because the real truth is you have no idea what the ideal outcome for you actually should look like. You just have to trust that the ideal outcome will unfold in the way that serves you best. Is this making some sense?
Yes.
Is this helping?
Very much.
All right. So practice relaxing your insistence on focusing on only one definition of abundance and support, and you will start allowing yourself to perceive through synchronicity other forms of abundance magically coming in. And then you will see your path more clearly.
Okay, so you said you cannot shift to a vastly different reality.
I didn't say that. I simply said you cannot shift to one that's not relevant for you.
Okay, you said you cannot shift to a reality if you don't know you can shift to that reality or something like this.
In a sense, yes, you have to know that it's possible, but you also have to understand what's probable, what's relevant for the theme that you chose to explore. As, in a sense, this version of you, this version of you, this version of you, this version of you. The theme can span many different versions, but you have to understand that some things are simply not relevant for the theme that you chose to explore. Some things are. So sometimes you can experience what appears to be an amazingly large shift into a very different reality, and many times you will simply experience something that seems like a little bit of a difference. That's more common. I'm not saying you can't experience a greater shift, but again, you have to A, know that that's possible, and you have to also know that that's relevant for you.
I understand. My last question.
Yes.
Having the year 2012 as a reference point, what percentage of the souls on Earth have shifted their focus on this reality, and how many are focused in a different reality, like where the humans are different?
All right. Well, again, you're asking kind of a segregational question because you're never on the same Earth. But we understand what you mean and what you're asking. From the idea of a focal point that you're calling 2012, now that you are arriving at the inverse 2021, you've inverted those last two numbers, you may find that if you want some kind of an average comparison, we perceive that many people have allowed themselves to shift somewhere around 12 to 15, maybe some as high as 20%.
Okay. Okay then.
Does that answer your question?
Yes. Thank you very much.
We thank you. Our unconditional love and support to you. Good day.
Good day.
Hi, Bashar. What is the definition of a conspiracy theory?
Generally speaking, the idea of a conspiracy theory is an agreement between more than one person, per se, that something is going on clandestinely, in secret, that to some degree those people believe is being hidden on purpose for the purposes of either control or anything that is not what they consider to be to their benefit. Generally speaking, it doesn't mean that their perception that something like that going on is accurate, and hence the word theory. Because obviously there are, from time to time, actual conspiracies, both positive and negative. Because remember, conspiracy simply means to breathe together, to conspire, so that you are breathing the same vibration. You're in alignment on the same level, positively or negatively. Doesn't matter what direction, it can still be a conspiracy in the fundamental meaning of the word. But most conspiracy theories that people on your planet refer to have more to do with the idea of fear of control or fear of losing control, and thus generally on your planet have moved in a more negative direction, whether they're accurately representative of what's going on or not. It's a way of sort of consolidating in a negative framework for the most part. The idea of finding like minds to reinforce what you already believe to be true so that you don't necessarily have to think about it more deeply.
And what is the future trajectory for someone who follows conspiracy theories?
Well, again, depending upon the conspiracy theory and its vibrational state, it'll be one of those navigational tools that will navigate them more strongly in the direction of the version of Earth that they believe to be true. So they will, in a sense, have created, for the most part, the thing they're afraid already exists, which may not necessarily be what exists until they have amplified and magnified it as being true. And then, of course, by doing that, they increase the probability of experiencing what they're afraid they will experience.
Good day. Bashar, thank you so much for those gifts. I really appreciate all the gifts you have given myself and everyone else.
Again, it is our passion and our pleasure and a response to all the gifts all of you have given to us.
So speaking of the three simple acts, I love this idea of this trinity of us as humanity, of the earth as well as the stars. And one of the things that came to mind was that is that by connecting to the earth and grounding ourselves as such, it also then gives us the ability to better reach, in a sense, up.
Yes, exactly as is symbolized by the idea of a tree. The deeper the roots, the higher the tree can grow and the higher the branches can reach.
Thank you. I love that reflection. And then the other thing, which is maybe just a silly question, but I've been exploring this idea of the mycelial network. Yes. And I live in an...
Was that a pun?
I don't know. I don't remember.
A silly question exploring the mycelial network.
Then that is exactly what it is.
All right. We thought it might be.
So, speaking of silly mycelials, I live in an urban environment. And so instead of planting trees outside, I brought the trees inside by having a garden in my home, in my apartment.
All right.
And it's silly in the sense that I thought about the idea of the mycelial network, how it is a physical representation of the interconnectedness of the earth.
Yes.
But I have all of these separate potted plants that don't have earth that necessarily combines because they're separate.
Does that mean you're feeling the urge to find a place in which to plant them so that that underground connection can be made by them?
Yes and no. Yes, because I would love to be able to do that. And no, because I like having these plants in my environment, in my home.
Well, you can have as many plants in your environment as you wish, but why not make them pass-through plants? In other words, you nurture them up to a certain point and always have plants to nurture in your apartment. But the ones that mature to a certain point, you can then take them to places where you can plant them together and they can grow and connect and carry on the nurturing that you instilled within them, while you bring new plants into your domicile and bring them up to maturation until you can plant them somewhere. You can always have the plants in your apartment, but they could be, just a suggestion, more of a pass-through plant.
Okay, so plant
like raising a child and sending it out into the world.
Yes.
Does that sound like something you would enjoy?
Yes, because I get to plant a seed and then plant the seed of intention by planting it back outside. So it sounds great.
All right, and will that satisfy the idea of your passion of always having plants in the apartment while at the same time also serving the trees themselves to give them a more natural environment?
Indeed.
All right. And is your imagination then in the future capable of coming up with solutions like this yourself?
Yes, Bashar.
All right. Wasn't that difficult to reach to that point, was it?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't.
All right. So that in and of itself is something that can greatly benefit the way in which you interact with nature in the future and the way that you act as nature in the future.
Thank you. I've been fortunate enough to have many conversations with you and other extra dimensionals. And every time I feel that, as you have just pointed out, that the conversation is almost redundant because I could have it just as well with myself and my imagination.
Of course, because that's the point anyway. Not that we don't enjoy conversations, and that doesn't mean conversations have to end, but certainly The whole idea and the purpose of our conversations with all of you is to allow you to realize you can have these conversations with your own higher mind and receive the answers that you need, because you're already in a partnership with your higher mind, with your physical mind.
Yes, you. So a question that you have been asked probably millions of times in different ways around the formula.
And always for the first time, yes.
That I would like to explore with you.
By all means.
Yeah, so I'd like to speak about inspired action, resistance, and circumstance. And to put that into context, I've chosen to join a project with about 300 other people that will take about 2 years to complete.
How exciting.
Exactly. And so I chose this because I could see that there were threads of excitement in it. I was curious. I would be able to learn. I would be able to do things that excited me through that process.
All right. And?
Now, within that, I feel that there's fractals of excitement because it's a big piece of time, if we want to put it that way. There's
all right,
other
if you say so.
Is
that a problem?
It's not a problem. I think it's about exploring the formula and getting clarity on how I can use the formula to explore that.
Yes. And so that's exciting, yes?
Yes.
All right.
So I think...
So far, so good. What else?
So far, so good. So one of the things is this idea of, living in a physical world and taking action. And it's about, within that space of action, inspired action as opposed to action out of obligation or expectation, I guess.
Yes. Action through responsibility, but not obligation in the negative sense. You are obligated to be responsible to others, but not for others.
So even I think as I'm saying that's a definition I probably need to clean up is when I'm doing something is that I'm doing it from the point of responsibility, not of obligation in a negative sense.
Well, yes, of course. Otherwise, you're creating resistance where none needs to be had.
Okay. Speaking of resistance, so I'm going through my day, part of this project, having a lot of fun, and then there's a period of time where I interact with someone else, and they are asking for something that I don't think is possible, and so I say no. And by doing that, I feel frustrated. I feel a negative sense of energy.
Well, that's just because you're not in touch with the reason why you said no. Maybe you said no for a negative reason, but maybe you said no for a positive reason. Did you give yourself an opportunity to have a discussion with the person to fully explain your response?
I think I did, in the sense that I try to be as clear when I describe things as I can as to my intent and my reason for things.
All right. Well, can you give us an example of something that you said was not possible?
So, as I mentioned, the project will take about 2 years. And so there are many things that need to be done in that time. And one of the things that was asked for with the people we have and the time we have, I believe is unlikely to happen or be done in that amount of time.
You have already shifted, because first you said impossible and now you said unlikely, which is a very different state of being. Does that mean there might be a probability, if you did things in a different way, that it could be accomplished?
Yes.
Then why did you say impossible?
I think this comes back to the idea of resistance. If it's resistance within myself or resistance, maybe as the idea of boundaries, of saying to someone no.
So you have now hit the core issue, which is when those things happen and you feel yourself going into that state of resistance, that in that moment, exploring the idea of why the resistance is there and what it will teach you is the entire purpose of why you're in the project. That's the core reason. Whatever the project is about is secondary to the process it puts you in touch with that allows you to explore and discover more of yourself. So in those moments where it seems that there's a little bit of a limbo, a deadlock, or something not clear, right there, exploring why that's happening and how you can learn from it and how you can move forward, maybe even in a different way than you imagined previously. Whatever that is, whatever that solution is, whatever that path is, whatever that answer is, but right there in facing that moment is the entire reason why you attracted yourself to the project, because that's the fundamental reason why the project exists and why you joined it, is to discover more of yourself and to be of service to others to help them discover more of themselves in the interaction you have when those things arise. At that moment, it's not about the so-called goal of the project. It's about that connection, that awareness, that investigation, that exploration, discovery together about why there is a moment of suspension. And in that will you mine all of the diamonds that you need to find within yourself.
Okay, so that, if I'm understanding you correctly, is the circumstance. It's the props, it's the conversations, it's the people. And I'm realizing in that moment that my state of being is not of a positive one.
That's the point of why you joined the project, is to discover those things and let go of the belief systems within you that cause the confusion. And when you do that, you may find, maybe, that what's being proposed might be easily done if necessary. You might still say, well, no, that's really not appropriate at this moment. That's fine. But at least it will be an answer and a realization based on the discovery of a belief system within you that you've let go of that will clarify you as to what the real solution is that will help you move forward together with the others, if you're willing to explore that together.
Is there, I would think at first it's about exploring it, or at least my state of being on my own, but as well as exploring this with...
You can do it however you wish, as long as you take the opportunity to find out why you're experiencing what you're experiencing. Yes, of course.
So I think that's the other thing. When I think about these experiences, I recreate the negative emotions.
It's all right if it's just a momentary thing, because remember, one of the tools in the kit of passion is the reflective mirror that brings to your attention something within your belief system that is out of alignment. So you may feel momentarily out of alignment, but finding those things that are not representative of your excitement is part of your excitement. Just because you may temporarily go into that energy doesn't mean that there's something wrong if you choose to use it to learn something from by remaining in your excitement about having discovered something that's not your excitement.
And so to that point, the way I interpret it is that if I was to then focus my attention on something that does excite me or brings me joy or puts me back into a positive state of being, then I can look at that situation again and then kind of explore it and discover what to do.
Yes, because it's important to stay in a positive state in order to get a benefit out of something that you don't prefer. You can neutrally recognize that you don't prefer something, that something is vibrationally not compatible with you. But you have to go back into a positive state in order to use what you don't prefer in a way that you do. If nothing else, manifesting something you don't prefer, it's not that it doesn't belong there, because if it happened, if it manifested, there's obviously a reason for it being there. And if you stay in a positive state, then you will realize that the reason for it being there is that it serves you, if no other way, by giving you a clearer contrast between what you do and don't prefer, which is a positive thing. So use what you don't prefer in a way that you do, and you will learn something from it, and then you'll be able to move forward more easily, more effortlessly, more clearly. Yes? Make sense?
Yes.
All right. Then by all means, our unconditional love and support to you along your path of least resistance.
And
have
to
fun.
You. Good day.
Good day.
Hello, Bashar. My first question is about Strawberry, one of the participants from your very, very early channeling sessions. How is he doing, and can you give us any updates on him?
I assume you mean how is he doing in spirit, because he has passed. So the idea is to understand that he is in great joy and experiencing many of the things he didn't necessarily get to experience in physical reality with regard to his passion for experiencing things on your planet that express themselves as theme parks. So he is experiencing on a spirit level a reality that is in every single moment as exciting as a theme park on your planet can be.
Could you briefly talk about the healing benefits and properties of hot springs?
Well, again, this is relatively well understood on your planet about the infusion of certain minerals in your body that your body can absorb for its own balance and health purposes. Plus, of course, in being in a relaxed and meditative state within them, it can also aid and assist in your ability to transport yourself, so to speak, to a different vibrational level that will also allow you to absorb different frequencies on different levels that are good for your own spiritual expansion as well. So it's about the idea of being a little bit more relaxed, a little looser, letting go, going with the flow, and absorbing what you need from that balanced state. And it is also an opportunity to again express your connection to the earth and what it provides you, how it nurtures you, what it gives you, the benefits it provides not only to your body, but to your spirit, your mind, for bringing them all together into alignment so that you can sort of melt into one vibration that is representative of all the different levels within you, and allows you to function more holistically in a more balanced way for those that find themselves attracted, of course, to that particular permission slip.
My third question is, could you briefly talk about the hero-villain complex and how Hollywood has influenced the collective to see the good and bad in people, heroes and villains in people and themselves?
All right, well, again, this goes back to the idea that story structure is something that's actually built into your psyche. It's something that you discovered within yourself. It's not something that you invented. There are certain kinds of vibrational chords within you that are representative of the theme of Earth, which is the transformation of dark to light, negative to positive, so on and so forth. And therefore, all of the stories that allow you to experience catharsis and transformation and letting go often contain the structure of hero/villain conflicts, because as you allow yourself to explore all the different ways you can transform that relationship in a positive way, you give yourself more opportunity to do so. It's not about really the concept of insisting on labeling people in a certain way, but it's simply more for the idea of representing the story structure within you that has to do with transforming from a conflictive state, a polarized state, to a more unified state that allows you to discover more of yourself and uplift yourself and your vibration in a way that creates you to be more aware of how you can become a different person using the vibration of the negative in order to catapult you there to that higher level and change you and transform you in positive ways by having encountered it. So it's a story about not necessarily invalidating the negative, but using the negative, using the villain to allow the hero to become more heroic, in a sense, in simple story terms. Of course, it also represents the idea of that within the self. In a story, it's just, shall we say, projected into the idea of different beings. But it's really more representative of that idea of transformation within yourself and the balancing of the negative and positive within.
Hi, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
Good to meet you. I mean, good to see you, actually, not meet you.
All right. Well, you're not exactly seeing me either, but we understand.
I just wanted you to say hi to Cappuccino.
Cappuccino.
Hello.
Frothy cappuccino.
Okay. I just have a few questions. First one is, I noticed that during this particular election season, I'm not going to ask you a political question, but I noticed how there's so many different people with different perspectives, right?
Yes.
And I have friends who are, into the conspiracy theories, and then I have friends who are not. And as I was attempting to navigate what is real, what is true, I noticed that I had a little bit of trouble. And when the media is not necessarily always accurate,
yes.
I just wonder, how do I gauge what is actually real and true? And I'll ask you the second one later, but how do I gauge what's true when there's so many different perspectives?
If you understand that the different perspectives are true in their own realities, then all you need to do is pick the ones that are true for you and yours.
And that's it?
Well, you don't invalidate the ones that are true in other realities. You don't say they're not true. You just say they're not relevant to me. And therefore, you move forward in the reality that you prefer, where you start eventually in the years to come to only experience the ones that are relevant for that reality and no longer experience the ones that are not, while those that are holding on to other truths will only experience the things that are relevant for their reality that they've chosen, and will no longer in the years to come experience the ones that are not relevant for them that might still be relevant for you.
Got it. So Bashar, then there's no need to try to convince anybody of what's true, right? It's just whatever is true for them is.
You can make whatever statements you believe are representative and relevant for the truth of your reality, and I understand that if you do so, someone might change their mind if you prevent them with enough information to do so, but the idea is that they will have chosen to do so by attracting you to tell them these things anyway. Or they will have chosen to attract you to refute everything you say in order to use that as a device to reinforce the truth that they believe in. But it's all relative.
It's all relative. And as I'm having discussions with people, it's just to be open and curious in why they believe what they believe, right? Yeah.
It is simply a matter of perhaps approaching it as, consider this. Have you considered this? Can we explore this idea? Let's look at it from this angle, because again, that's the point. The point is not to convince anybody of anything, because you can't. You can only share information that gives them an option to decide to align with what's relevant for you. Or again, sometimes people may attract people into their reality to refute everything they say in order to reinforce what they prefer to believe in all along anyway. So you have to look at the reasons for why the interactions are going on, what someone is choosing to get out of it or refusing to get out of it for their own purposes, for their own reasons. But it's really just a matter of exploring the ideas of why that's important to them. And again, as we said earlier in this transmission, you will often find, not always, but often find, that the things that seem to be polar opposite points of view are just surface features for something deeper that you may actually agree on if you find your way in your conversation to the core of why they feel the way they do or believe the way they do. And you might find something common down there that you can both understand as the reason for why you might have the polar surface features, because of the beliefs inherent in each person in terms of their interpretation of what they think they need to do to get the thing at its core that they actually most prefer. That you can explore different ways to achieve that can erase all the polarization. You can still maintain the unique differences and validate them, but you can let go of the polarization in an extreme form if you both come to an understanding of what is the reason why each of you is holding on to the beliefs that you're holding on to so strongly. What are you afraid of in letting them go to explore something deeper that might actually serve both of you equally?
That's great.
Yes.
But there's no such thing as like, this is reality and this is not, right? It's all relative to what your perspective is.
In a sense, there is a distinct reality, but the distinct reality is what we have defined as the 5 laws.
Got it. Yeah.
You exist. Yes?
Yep.
Everything is here and now. The all are one, the one are all. What you put out is what you get back. Everything changes but the laws. That's the stable description of existence itself. Everything else is relative based on what you believe to be true and your relationship to the structure of existence, which never changes.
Got it. Okay, that's great. So it's a mix of like, I think for me, I just need to get that there's multiple realities and not invalidate any,
yes.
But also, yeah, just choose based on what's relevant for me.
Well, yes, you see, the idea of invalidating another reality is simply a reflection of a fear-based belief that somehow you can't have the reality that's relevant for you while someone else can have the reality that's relevant for them, because most of you don't understand the structure of existence and therefore think there's only one reality. And therefore, I've got to be right, or I've got to be right because there's only one reality and we have to figure out which perspective of that one reality is correct when in fact they're all real.
But the point is, Bashar, like, it's not because I noticed there's a part of me that doesn't want to acknowledge other realities because there's dark realities. They exist, right?
Well, yes, of course. The idea, again, is they're simply based on the mechanical description of something that is positive or negative, mechanically speaking. The idea is that existence is very slightly biased in the direction of positive energy because there's a balance point between the two poles, because existence is not really a duality, it's a trinity. There's always a balance point between the two, and a balance point between the two still allows you the freedom to choose what you prefer, which means, in a sense, and I'm only using these percentages arbitrarily, but you get the point. You could say existence is 51% positive and 49% negative. And of course you can recognize that you may prefer, because existence leans that way. In other words, you're more in alignment with existence on the positive side than you are on the negative side. So you can recognize that you may prefer the idea of the way certain realities vibrate, more in accord with the true nature of your essence. But again, it still doesn't mean you have to invalidate the one that you don't prefer, because many times the one you don't prefer has still gotten you to the point of choosing the one that you do. So you can use negative energies